Livy Book 1, chapter 46. Probably saved as 45 because they're not equal length. Anyway, Servius, as we all know who he is, quam, although Yam now already, Urbe, without doubt, possesseth the right or use or enjoyment of the regnum. He now controlled this kingdom, as it was. Nevertheless, queer, because interdum sometimes Iactare voces by a juvene Tarquinus. By the youth Tarquinus, he was audiobating. He was hearing voices, which would be words, being boasted or thrown around. That he was regnaring, as we know, head verbs take the infinitive, who was ruling. Say means it was him. Unordered not by the order of the people. So without permission of the people or without them bidding him to do so. So he wanted to conciliate prius to the conciliata. He wanted the voluntate of the plebs. He wanted the will of the plebs. So he wanted to reconcile himself with the will of the plebs. So the capto agro, the captive fields or lands, which were from the hostibuses, the enemy. Again, we see this ablative absolute, agro capto diviso. So the lands were captured, were divided, and adverbed out, viritum, man to each man in his little regnum, in his kingdom. And also says he dared, another head verb, it's not really a head verb, but it takes the infinitive, to bear to the people if they valented, if they wanted, and there's nay, meaning it's a question, would they order him to regnar? So he gave them all spoils and lots of goodies, and then wanted to know if now, because he was inissued before, if now he would have the issue of them their will. Tanto qui, consentu quanto. So we have tantum quantum in this ablative form. Such was the consent that not hord quisquam anyone before anyone else who had been a king before had declaratus. So this consent was very great, which no king before had experienced. Nequi res, so neither did this matter, Tarquino, dative or ablative, his spam in the accusative, so he's a verb, minuit. So this matter or circumstances did neither, so that's negative, that they didn't diminish his adfectations, that looks gerundive, or didn't diminish his hope of to Tarquinus, so that'd be dative or something, of getting the kingdom. Immo, it probably means contrarily, all the more impensius, which is a comparative, because concerning these fields, even though it's a singular, to the plebs, adversa volante patrum, this was against the will of the Senate fathers. He was censurating, he felt this, to go against them, and that looks like a passive infinitive or whatever. Anyway, by incriminating or accusing Servius amongst the fathers in the curia, Rata says he thought this would be, he was given the occasion, Sibi for himself, and so this here is a gerundive in this one here, crescending, so he was increasing in his accusations towards Servius, you might want to say. So actually this crescendi bit for himself looks like he was increasing his own influence. Anyway, Ipsi himself was a Juvenus. As you know, Juvenus and Canis are the only types of the third declension that aren't I stems. Anyway, he was a youth of ardentus enemite, of a burning mind, and doma at home with his uxor Talia, his wife Tullia, stimulating or goading his inquietum animum, his spirit or mind. So she was prodding him, she probably wanted power as well. Tul enim et, so for also Romana Regia, this would be the palace or the house of the Romana's king. So it bore a example of a tragic scullerus, of a tragic crime, or however you want to call that. Ut tadio, the tadio is boredom or getting sick of something. For the tediousness of kings, so that liberty would come comparatively more quicker. And qui, this should be the last king that was partum, born from crime, for it that it should be. So this El Tarquinius was the Filius or Nepos, which is grandson or nephew or something. This is left to us parum, so leastly that we know if he was the son or the Nepos of Prisci Tarqui Regis, of King Priscus Tarquinus. Tarman. So nevertheless, pluribus authors, so many of the authors editorum, they've produced in their histories that he is a filium, he was the son. And he haberated, he had a fratrum, a brother, by the name of Aruntum, what's that in English? Aruns Tarquinium. And his ingenium, or nature, was mitis, a bit softer, and he was a juvenem, a youth. His duobus, dative or ablative. So with these two, as antedictum, as said before, est, as dictum est, said before, that's periphrastic. Now here we've got some nominatives. The two filia of Tullius, the two daughters of Tullius had nuptiated. So the two daughters of King Tullius had nuptiated these two. Women nuptiant, they nupo, they marry, where males maritus, there's it's a different word used for who's marrying who. And longae, by far, they were dispares. These two were different, very different by far, in their moribuses, in their mores, in their ways. Forte, by chance, ita incident, it happened in this way. Say nay, that's negative, that not the two, with violent ingenia, with violent natures, be jungerented, be joined in matrimony. Okay, so we have chance here in fortuna, there's semi-linked. So credo, I believe, this would be Livy believing, the fortunes of the people of Rome had done this by chance as happened. So fate was on Rome's side. Quo diaturnius, as we know, comparative uts become quo. So that the regnum of Servius, the kingship of Servius, would be rather more lengthier. And the civitatis, this would be the state, would be able to be constituted, or all their good arrangements as we saw in the census and all that, the order of, anyway, so these mores would be established. Engabator, someone was anguished or in angst, it looks like Ferox Tullia, so the bold or daring Tulla was anguished a bit, because nihil of material was in her man. There was no material in a man, either to have a desire nor to boldness. So looks like his nature wasn't very avaricious and bold and daring. Tota aversa into the other brother, so she was all turned towards the other Tarquinus brother. Him she mirari, she admired. Him dicere she called a virum, a man, and with regio sanguine, with royal blood arisen autumn. She spurnarade her sororum, she spurned a sister, because she had nectar, she had obtained, her sister had obtained a man, a real man. Cesarat. And so the sister had obtained a good man and had ceased in her the boldness of a woman, basically, so she was quite content with the man she had. Celeriter, quickly the similitude, that's the similarness, the similarity, contrahated, drew them together, as ferre fit, as nearly always happens. So they'd been married to opposites, but it looks like they're going to start cheating or something. Malum was most suitable, aptissimus, for evil. Evil was suitable for evil. Ea means she was assuefacted. She was accustomed. Looks like in secret sermons, in secret conversations, with another's man, you might want to say, or she was accustomed to of another's husband, which is her sister's husband, with nullus contumelis, with no insults verborum of words, parcerade, spared, concerning her virum to his brother, and concerning her sister to a man. Okay, so they're a bit cross-functioned here, but you can figure out what's going on, or which sister and which husbands, because the kings are brothers or the whatever, and the women are married to opposite types. In se rectius, and it would be more righter for se herself to be viduam, which is used for widows but also unmarried, and for him to be, where we get the word celibate from, which is also unmarried, futurum, contendere. She was contending this, she was proposing this, and with the infinitive there. Then, to be yugide, to be joined with an impar, someone who's below her, what she desired, I suppose, since she seemed to despise him. And they were elenguescenduming, they were withering away due to the ignavia, others' cowardice, basically. If sibi for herself, him who digna, who she deserved, after if the gods had a dedissen, if they had given her the man to whom she thought she deserved, domai at home, herself, she would visorum, she would see, propidem, very soon, the kingdom, with which put her father, she vidiat, she was seeing. So all the royal power that her father had, she felt would be hers at home if the gods had given her the right man. Okay, so I've set up some words. Caleb's, an unmarried man, bachelor or widower, compared to vidua, bereft, unmarried, widow, deprived of, with genitive. So it's the male and female version of the same sort of thing. Anyway, caloriter, quickly. The adolescence was impleted, was filled up with her temerity, her rashness. Arons Tarquius and Talia Minor, the younger, almost propi, with continual funerals, when their homes were vacuous, empty due to these continuing funerals, they fecurited, they made new matrimony. They were joined, jungeted, in nuptials, which are marriages, more not prohibited by Servius than ad probanted by him, than approved by him. So they weren't really prohibited, but more than they were approved of.